Hello guys, HJW Gaming here, bringing you a guide around the Hero Commander interface and how to understand your heroes better and build them effectively. I'm going to run through everything on the hero interface and try and explain the kind of intricacies around a lot of the options you have, as this screen can often be quite overwhelming for a lot of new players. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to smash the like button and hit the subscribe to see more of my content in the future. And without that, straight into the video. Now, I'll start from kind of the left-hand side of this pane, which is the obvious selection, which is which hero you currently have selected. So here it will show at the top all of the heroes that you have unlocked. And it will also show on each of their emblems a number, and that number corresponds to the level of your hero. So you can quickly see the level of each individual hero by scrolling down this list. Once you're at the bottom of the list of all heroes you've unlocked, there is additionally a list of all the locked heroes, and these are the heroes that you currently do not have possession of. The number underneath of these will normally show 0 out of 10. However, this shows the progression you have towards unlocking that hero. So if you have obtained coins, for example, for the hero that you can then use to unlock them. For example, if the hero is available in the tavern, you may have obtained a number of coins from them through your pulls in the tavern without fully unlocking them. And that will show on here exactly how close you are to unlocking them. So if I look at Dia Chen here, you can see I am 2 out of 10 towards her unlock. And that's come through the Heroic Medals free event. So I haven't got her fully unlocked because I didn't buy the advanced, but I have gained 2 of her medals towards fully unlocking her. And I can see down that left-hand bar how close I am to unlock. Additionally, something which can come really in handy here when building your army will be the filter option at the top of this. When you're choosing to build your army, you'll want to keep the unit type and the military consistent across all 3 commanders in your army. So therefore you can use this filter to effectively find the heroes that you want to fit with your army. So for example, if I was looking for something to go with Attila the Hun here, I can therefore go for warrior, and he's both either an archer or a cavalry, as that matches his type, which we'll get into in a moment. But if I select cavalry and click confirm, my list is now filtered for all warrior cavalry, which can therefore synergize with Attila the Hun. So I can then scroll down this list and create some kind of cavalry army if I wanted to out of these synergistic commanders. I find that to be a really overlooked part of the game, and it can really help with your team building. Now, once we've selected the commander that we want to understand fuller, I'll go from left to right and then top to bottom to kind of talk through all the different elements of this particular hero. The first in the bottom left is kind of the 3 dots with the lines after them, and that shows the commander's attribute overview. So it will show how his stats are at current level for might, armor, strategy and siege, and it'll also show how that is growing per commander level, which are the numbers afterwards in the green brackets. So you can then potentially calculate, if you wanted, what their stats will be in future as you continue to grow their levels. Now, the most important thing to recognise here is the main stat for your commander. So for example here, Miyamoto is a primary might-based commander and deals damage using that might stat, which will come important when we look at the talent tree later on. But here you'll see Miyamoto's armor and his strategy as well. So most commanders use either might or strategy for their primary stat. In this case, it's might. And then, of course, there's siege as well, which determines how much siege damage you do when you attack an opposing keep or other relevant structure that requires siege. However, primarily for damage, you'll see might or strategy, and then some kind of armor value as well. So make sure to pay attention to which of those your hero primarily exceeds in, and we'll get into that a bit more when we look at the talent tree. The next option along with the little play button does show your commander's unlock animation. So this shows their unique animation, which is always pretty cool. There's a few of these I've unlocked and I hadn't watched it from when I first unlocked it. I accidentally skipped through, so it's quite nice knowing that you can always come back and take another look at these kind of cinematics. However, of course, not relevant to your commander's build. The third option along is actually quite useful, particularly for new players. If you click this, it will give recommended formations that you can include your commander in. So for Miyamoto here, you'll see it recommends running Miyamoto here with Tribuana and then also Constantine the Great. And you can click into these and interact as you will. So if I click the top option here, it recommends him using in a true damage swordsman option, but of course using the legendary hero. And it then recommends, here we are, it recommends King Arthur as the first, Tribuana as the second, and then Constantine the Great as the third. But it also provides options that you can switch in to show how well they synergize. So this is useful for newer players who don't know which combinations are kind of best, and it gives you a recommended lineup. They're not always the best options, but I believe they're based around the beta and a lot of the most used formations. So they're going to give you a starting point if you're looking to build your army. So definitely a useful button for the new players, and that's this kind of scroll with the sword over it in the bottom left, just underneath this attribute overview, which I'll drop out now. And then the option to the right of that is just one last option here, and this is like a description of Miyamoto Musashi and the history of him. And as you unlock him further and further, you'll progress further through his story. And the other thing you get with this is the little chest in the top right next to his name. As you unlock each individual level, you can claim this and get a small number of Empire coins for reading through each character's history. And each character will have an individual history. If you click into here, you'll see you can read through, and every time I click that chest, I will get a small number of Empire coins for reading through that commander's history. So if you've got a few commanders that you haven't done this with, just go through and click all of them now, and you could boost your Empire coins balance. You know, it's not massive, but reasonably substantially if you have a high number of heroes. Now, the last button along here is like a share option. So if you click on this, you can either select him, just the hero himself, or your team, and you can then share this image if you want on social media. Again, not particularly relevant for the team building. Now, for the important part, we have along the top, of course, we have the commander's name, and just to the left of this, we have the commander's military speciality. So in the case of Miyamoto, this is a warrior. So this speciality will determine how the commander's talent tree, when we go into this option here, talents, how his talent tree is designed, and where the locations of his particular boosts are, and what these boosts are likely to affect. So in this case, the strength in number talent activates the military speciality with two heroes sharing the same speciality in a troop. They receive a 20% bonus for all attributes if all three heroes share the speciality, and the bonus increases to 30%. Now, military speciality is important as you need to match this amongst the 2 or 3 commanders in your army. This will activate the talent strength in numbers once you've taken it from the talent tree, and with 2 heroes having the same speciality, they receive a 20% bonus to all attributes. If all 3 heroes share the same speciality, that goes up to 30%, and it stacks, so you'll get a 90% boost to all of your attributes, which is obviously a massive boost. And so you want to make sure that all 3 heroes in your army, once you get past main or town hall 17 and get 3 heroes, you want to make sure they all share exactly the same military speciality. Similarly, to the right of this, you'll also see the commander's speciality in regards to troop leading. So for King Derek, which he switched across to here, you'll see he actually has a speciality in leading 2 different types of troops. He has both archers and swordsmen. So this means when he leads units with exactly the same as his speciality, there'll be bonus for all of their attributes, depending on the number of matched unit types. So 5, 10, 15%. And of course, this also depends on the heroes. So 5% if only King Derek in this case. Say we used a Archer March on King Derek here, and then we use Miyamoto and Hammurabi, who are both only swordsmen, we'd only get the 5% buff. However, if we used swordsmen between all 3 of these, in which case it matches all 3, we will gain the plus 15% bonus. And then on top of that, because they're all have the same military speciality, we will also gain the attributes boost from the military speciality. So these 2 things are absolutely key when picking out your team. You want to make sure that the units you're leading matches your 3 heroes and that they also have a 3 matching military speciality. Which is where I come back to that filter I was talking about earlier on, in that if you want to find heroes that only have the same unit leading type and military speciality, you can actually search for it in here to make sure that all of your commanders match and therefore give maximum bonuses to your army. Next up, you have your commander's rank, which is the star rating shown just underneath their name. Now, you increase your hero's rank by obtaining medals for that commander or converting universal medals into that commander's medal. Universal medals can be got through various rewards for events, or also purchasable through some of the in-game store packs. However, the primary way you get these medals is normally through either completing events or through taking them in the tavern when you open particular tavern chests. So, for example, King Derek here is part of the Giant's Roar event, so every time that I hit his particular mob, I gain a number of King Derek medals, which I am using to increase his rank. And I currently have him fully increased to 3-star on his rank. However, if you look just behind my head, you can see I have 26 out of 25 of his medals earned. So I can actually click advance, which is just behind me. If I click that, it will increase King Derek's rank by 1/5 of a star. If you do this 5 times, it will increase your commander's rank another star, and every time you do, it then unlocks an additional rank. So you'll see, unlocks at rank 4, reduces your troops' damage taken by 2.5%. So every time you increase one of these stars, you get an important boost. So if I click advance here, you'll see I've gained 30,000 power just for boosting King Derek. And you'll see the boost that you can get here when you hit various star milestones. So you get skill boosts at star 1, 3 and 5. And you get attributes boosts at 2 and 4, which, as we saw there, the attributes boost at 4 for King Derek was reduced damage taken. So if you can, you want to try and take your main heroes to the highest rank possible, particularly King Derek here, as he's available in a free-to-play event. All I'm doing is grinding the game out and hitting these banners, and I'm getting these medals for free. Of course, if you're a free-to-play player, these medals may be a little bit more hard to come by, so potentially try your best to focus on those heroes that are tavern heroes, so you can get them through participating and opening the tavern chest, so you'll have a more regular supply of medals. Next up, underneath this, we have the commander's experience level. King Derek, as you can see, is currently level 75 out of 80. Now, currently my max level is stuck at level 80. As you increase your tavern and upgrade your tavern, you will increase your possible max level of your commanders. So at the beginning of the game, your max level will be significantly lower, and as you go up tavern levels, this will keep going up and up and up. Now, you can increase a commander's level and gain experience through several different actions. So, for example, performing actions in the overworld, such as defeating tribes, will gain your commander experience points and therefore increase his level. You can also obtain, through various events, in-game store packs or rewards, you can also gain experience tomes, which if I click into here, you can see the number of experience tomes I currently have available to me. Then if I click upgrade here, I can use those experience tomes to increase my commander's level up to that maximum level cap. So I'm currently sitting at 75 out of 80 for the reason that whilst I'm still hitting tribes and things like that, if I had it set at max experience level, I wouldn't be gaining experience from that, so I'd be wasting that resource when I hit in the tribes anyway. So I'm just sitting in kind of a nearish max level so that I can still gain that experience, but he's still very strong when I require it. Now, the other thing that level affects is your hero's maximum troop capacity. So when you create your army and you assign troops to it, you'll have a maximum troop capacity for that army, and that's determined by the total of your 3 heroes' troop capacity. So you'll see here, my troop capacity or unit capacity, as shown underneath, is 15,200. Every time I increase my hero's level, that will gain an additional 200 units into King Derek or any commander's unit capacity. So the higher the level you are, the more units you have, and therefore, of course, when engaging in PvP or fighting high-level armies in the overworld, the more units you'll have to deal and receive damage, so the more likely you are to be successful in any battle interaction. Next up under this is your commander's gear. Now, I don't have a huge amount of gear here, as you can see on King Derek, or in most of my commanders currently, in fact, as I'm fairly early in my season. However, you do have 4 slots here, one of which is for helms. As you can see, I have the Laurel Crown. Then you have arm gear or hand gear, as it says here, like van braces. Then you have a chest slot, and you also have a leg slot as well. Now, gear can be obtained through your forge, which is within your main keep, and you basically forge gear by receiving legendary scrolls, which again can be received from events, various different stores you can exchange in-game currency for, such as Empire coins or sometimes also Alliance coins, or you can obtain them through various in-store packs as well for purchase. And basically, if you then use your smithy, you can forge various different types of gear, which then once forged can be put onto your commander. The important thing here is that gear has a speciality, so you'll see this White Wolf bracer here. It has a cavalry speciality up in the top right, so only cavalry heroes can equip this. So whilst I might have several different items of chest, van braces, or leg as well armour, they might not synergize with the speciality of Miyamoto here being a swordsman, and therefore I won't be able to equip them. The interesting thing here, though, is that commanders that have 2 different specialities can equip the equipment for both. So Attila the Hun here, for example, can equip both archer and cavalry gear. So I will be able to give him both or either option, depending on which piece of gear I think is most important. So, for example, I have this chest piece here being used on Hua Mulan, which is an archer's chest piece. If I then go to one of my swordsmen and look at chest pieces, you'll see I don't have the option to wear this gear, as I cannot put on gear of this type, as it's specifically only for archers. However, Attila the Hun would be perfectly capable of wearing this gear, as he is both cavalry and also archer. Though, of course, whilst he can equip both pieces of gear, gear does come with specific boosts. So in this case, archer defense bonus up. So again, make sure that you're using gear that synergizes with the speciality that you're using in your army. So, of course, to make maximum benefit of that equipment stats. Within your equipment as well, in the middle option, you also have rings. Now, you'll obtain various rings during the game, and these give very important boosts to the stats of your commanders. Now, those are equipped in this central slot within the gear option, which I don't currently have available, as my Citadel is only is less than level 18, basically. So because I haven't reached milestone 15, I don't currently have this available. But when you do gain rings, this is where you equip them, in this central area. So, for example, here are some of the various rings that are available in the game, and you can see some of the stats boosts that are available. So, for example, they can increase troop attack and defense, all the same for commander damage, and they also provide an additional skill for use with your commander. So, for example, you can see the top left one has a 100% activation chance of armor maintenance. So that's just a good example of some of the rings that you can use to equip your commander with. Next up, under gear, you have the commander's talent tree. Now, this is very important for getting the most out of each individual commander. So in your talent tree, you have various different options. So you'll start with only military tactics mastery unlocked. Be aware that when you put skills into your commander, you can use the reset button in the top right in order to reset your skills and redo them, basically, at the cost of 50 Empire coins. The number of talent points you have available are given by upgrading your commander. So, for example, at level 20, you'll get your first point and unlock the talent tree. And then every 2 levels, you'll gain 1 additional talent point. So to begin with, you'll start with only military tactics mastery available to put a skill point into. So you'll always have to put a point into this. And you can see the requirements for this on the right-hand side. So you require your hero to be level 20, as that's when you'll unlock the talent tree. You then have a description as well as to what this talent does. So, for example, military tactics mastery. After the unit type speciality is activated, the hero bonus attribute increases from 5 to 10%. And then for each additional hero of the same unit type speciality in a troop, additionally increases the hero's bonus attribute from 5 to 10. So again, this further increases that boost you'll get from having the same unit speciality in the rest of your troops. So if you make sure to always have 3 synergizing unit specialities, then military tactics mastery will increase that bonus more, so you can get 30% across 3 different heroes. And then from here you can see there is a route that you have to take in order to unlock the various different skills. So for example, the first here, commander damage normal attack, I can put a skill point into straight away. However, if I wanted to only take commander skill damage, I'm unable to do this. As you can see, the route along the skill tree, I have to go via commander normal attack in order to get commander's skill damage. And that leads all the way around. You also have normal attack damage again, then commander's damage regularly, and then field battle XP. At the start of a season, once you hit level 20, I would definitely recommend, as soon as you can, putting speciality points or talent points into field battle XP. You're required to put 2 points into this in order to receive the bonus. Only putting 1 point in will not activate the talent skill. You have to put the maximum number of points in. So if I show you here, by putting these points in as you go along, of course it does increase the power of our commander, but if I only put 1 point in here, that skill has not actually unlocked or activated until I put the second skill point in, and it will say activated along the bottom. So same for field battle XP, if I put 1 in, has no effect. However, once I put 2 in, that skill is now activated. Most talent skills require 1 skill point, however some do require this 2 skill points. And you can see that marked on the UI just underneath the name of the skill, and there are several skills which have this option. Now underneath Military Tactics Mastery we have Intrepid Warrior. This is not the same for all commanders, so there's Intrepid Warrior here. However, if I was to go to somebody else who's not a warrior, let's look at Cleopatra. Instead of underneath Military Tactics Mastery, instead of that, she instead has Strategic Preparation. So these are usually designed to synergize with the stats of your commander. So Cleopatra here is primarily a strategy-based commander, and you can see has the tactician speciality. Therefore, she has a different talent tree due to that, and her stats are mainly based around increasing your troops' strategy damage. As a general rule of thumb, you'll see increased commander damage down the left-hand side of skill trees, as well as commander stat increases on the left, and on the right you will usually see troop buffs. Now, with commander skill trees, there are different stat attribute increases that are available, and not all of them are important for your commander. So you'll note along the left-hand side here, we have increases hero strategy by 3, which is obviously very useful for Cleopatra. As we said earlier, she is primarily a strategy-based commander. However, just under that, there is also a might increase that you can access, which wouldn't be as valuable for her, as that increased might for a strategy-based commander would not be as effective. So obviously when you're looking through the various routes of skills, make sure you're taking those that will take you to stat attribute boosts that benefit your commander. If we go back to our previous example of Miyamoto here, you'll see actually he has a might increase in this skill, and therefore we have taken the skills along in order to access increased hero might. Then we've also taken increases to his skill damage and normal attack damage, as we're using him as a commander that deals good might damage. So we want to take as many damage skills as possible in his talent tree, but we've chosen not to take the strategy increase, as he's primarily a might focused commander, and increasing his strategy would not benefit us, so we haven't taken that skill. Now, each of these main nodes, so Intrepid Warriors you can see here, have a requirement of talent point spend. The only one that doesn't is of course the first one, which only has a requirement of level 20. But each different node has a level requirement and a skill point spend requirement. So Intrepid Warrior here requires a hero level of level 30, and also for us to spend 5 talent points, which obviously have to be used in this Military Tactics Mastery top node. And once we've spent 5 up here, we can then start putting points into Intrepid Warrior. If we continue down, the Strength in Numbers skill, which I think we discussed a little bit earlier on when talking about Tactician speciality, And this activates the hero's military speciality with 2 heroes sharing the same bonus. They receive 20% and 3 heroes 30%. If you don't have a point in strength in numbers, that does not happen. So you won't gain that 30% per hero. So you have to try and make sure that you unlock strength in numbers, obviously, as soon as possible. But I can't do that until I've got my commander level 50 and 15 talent points spent. So what am I going to do with this Intrepid Warrior skill? Well, we're going to look to put skill points in. As you can see, primarily a might-based hero, Attila the Hun. So we're going to look to go over and increase his might, and also, along the way, increase some of his damage that is being dealt. So we'll first put a point into Intrepid Warrior. Then we'll go 1 into commander damage, 2 into normal attack damage to have that activated, another into skill damage, and then a might increase as well. Now that gets us into 14 out of 15 skill points allocated. So if we wanted, we could then put 1 point into commander skill damage, or we could look elsewhere and put it into something like damage reduction to reduce your troops' damage taken by 0.4%. In this case, I'm actually going to activate commander skill damage. I'll put 2 points in actually, so we'll now have 16 allocated, just so I make sure I activate that skill. But I can then put a point into strength in numbers and start working with this skill tree as well. And of course, this continues on throughout the entire talent tree, with everything having a hero level and a talent point spend requirement, which increases the further you go down the talent tree. Now, talent trees, I said, are different between different heroes, so make sure to explore fully what your commander's abilities are and make sure to maximise their stats that with talents that most synergise well with them. But as I said, there is the reset button in the top right, so if you ever want to change anything, it'll only cost you 50 Empire coins in order to reset this. And lastly, underneath the talent tree, we do have commander's skills, and these are separated into 4 different categories. The first of which is the commander skill. Now this is an individual skill for each commander. This skill will only activate if the commander is the first commander in your troop. So when you are looking at your troops, if the commander is not the first, as you see here, I have Miyamoto Musashi as my first commander. Therefore, he is activating his Flash of Yang commander skill. However, Defensive Slugshot from King Derek is not activating because the skills of the second and third in command do not take effect. So you have to make sure that you are not just allocating 3 random heroes, you're putting them in an order that synergizes well and activates the commander skill that you are most looking to activate. So in this case, I want Flash of Yang, as it's a very good high damage commander skill, and that's what I'm looking to get from him, as I think I can get more damage from him than I can by having either King Derek or Hammurabi as my primary lead commander. Now, commander skills don't require skill points to be spent in order to level them up and increase their damage. They instead increase in level as the commander himself increases level. So as you see here, if I upgrade my hero to level 80, as it says in the bottom right, this commander skill will automatically be upgraded if I move my head from level 25 to level 30. So this will get naturally stronger as your commander's experience level increases. Now the second slot within the skill tree is the commander's signature skill. Now this is irrelevant of which slot in your troop each commander is placed. Each of the individual commanders will use their signature skills during battle. These do require skill points to upgrade. So as you see, I have Miyamoto's currently level 10. If I choose to, I can upgrade that signature skill by spending my skill points. Your skill points balance can be seen up in the top right and can be increased by various means such as events, various in-game stores, as well as some of the, of course, purchasable bundles as well. And as you spend these skill points, you can see I'm increasing Miyamoto's power and also increasing the signature skill level. And what that's doing is increasing some of the stats within this skill. So in this case, it deals might damage to the enemy troop and has a percentage chance to make another hero with the highest might immediately activate a signature active skill or turn-based skill increasing skill damage by 30%. And as I level this up, that percentage chance of activating is going up. So in some cases it'll increase the damage of the signature skill, but in this case it's increasing the percentage chance. So as you upgrade the skill, you obviously want to increase these as much as possible within the limit of your skill points, as it does increase the chance, or increase the effectiveness, I should say, of your signature skill. Now, signature skills, as well as the optional skills in slots 3 and 4, all have a skill type. So for example, you'll see here, if I click skill type, there are 3 different types of signature skill, and this is similarly applicable, as I said, to the 3rd and 4th slot. Now, the different types of skill are active skills, which have chances to be activated every time the hero himself takes an action. Now, this can be very useful, as it means if your hero gets, for example, double strike, which makes him perform an action twice in one turn, you can therefore get 2 chances to activate his signature skill. So you can start thinking about synergy here between commanders, about those that have can give double strike to others, can therefore get them to activate their signature skill or either of their 2 optional skills more often as a result of being an active skill. Now, the second type is a turn-based skill, which guarantees it to be activated between certain turn intervals. So we might see, I'll show a few examples of that in a moment. There's also secondary strike type, which has a chance to be activated every time the hero launches a normal attack. So again, if there's synergistic skills from other commanders or other skills that allow your commander to take more normal attack options, you'll have repeat activations of these signature skills. So make sure to pay attention to that. In this case, his Moment of Yin's signature skill is an active skill. But if we look into Hua Mulan here, you'll see her skill type is secondary strike, which means it activates only on those normal attacks. Now, the 3rd and 4th slot for the commander skills are optional skills. Now, within this, you'll see the exact skill I have here, which is weak spot attack, which means after I launch a normal attack, it deals might damage to the enemy troop and increases my hero damage for 3 seconds, which is 1 turn activation. And this is a secondary strike skill. However, if I click more skills, I do have additional options I can select. So originally, Hua Mulan had Armor Piercer and Infuriation, and then I've unlocked Active Mercy and Weak Spot Attack and equipped them in the number 1 and number 2 slot. There is also Double Attack and Furious Charge, which can be activated, and you'll see in the bottom right this can be unlocked by spending skill tokens. If I move out the way, you'll see the requirement here is 1 skill token, and these legendary skill medals can be obtained from various ways, such as value packs or purchasable in the item store. So if I go to the item store here, you'll see for Empire medals you can also buy these skill tokens to unlock more customizable skills. Additionally, alongside each skill, so next to weak spot attack here, you'll see there is an upgrade option. If I click this, you can spend legendary skill scrolls in order to upgrade these customizable skills. So in this case, the effect chance, the damage rate goes up during this first time. The activation chance stays the same, 20 to 20. Damage rate goes up by nearly 12%. And increases the hero's damage by nearly an additional 1%. So it increases the effectiveness of that skill for the cost of 20 legendary skill scrolls, which also I don't have at the minute, so I can't click activate. But that is actually separate to the skill's individual level. So similarly to the signature skill, you do also have to spend skill tokens here to upgrade the level of that skill. And if I click to upgrade this, you'll see the skill level is going up. This will have made changes to the effectiveness of this skill. One thing a lot of people don't know is if you click this little additional information box, you can see specifics into an individual skill. So original description, it just says after launching a normal attack, deals might damage to the enemy troop and increases the damage dealt as the target loses units. However, if I click the little extra icon next to the skill, I now know that damage rate is 86.95 based around might bonus. And if I click upgrade, I can then continue upgrading that bonus at the cost of skill points. And similarly, when I upgrade, I will get additional boosts as a result of spending those legendary skill scrolls. So they can be upgraded both through the skill scrolls and through spending skill points. The other thing to not worry about is the level. So, for example, I've leveled up weak spot attack to level 25. If I chose to switch this across to Armor Piercer, once activated, as you can see, will remain level 25. The only things which don't carry over between skills are those legendary skill scrolls. So level carries over, skill scroll upgrades do not. So when choosing to spend legendary skill scrolls, which are reasonably rare, make sure you're selecting it on a skill that you know you're going to be using for the long term. You don't want to be upgrading short-term skills that you're not going to be keeping, as it would be a very big waste of your resources. And with that, that's kind of everything I had to talk through. Now, of course, you can see with heroes, when considering within your wider troop, there's a lot that you need to ensure synergizes effectively to get the best overall troop army. You've not only got the commander's military speciality, you have troop speciality as well, you have talents, and then you also have how commanders' individual skills synergize as well. So in future, I will be bringing you troop guides to show how different commander armies interact and which ones are most effective. So make sure you subscribe to see those coming in the future. Anyway, if you found this video on hero builds useful, please smash the like button. It'd be very, very much appreciated. And I really hope to see you all on the next one.